Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Gaurav Wadhwa. I am the editor in chief of Future of Jobs. At Future of Jobs, we talk to various industry experts to explore the direction of what future of work might look like. We've all been there looking at no reply to rejection email or worse, no reply at all from HR after the interview, wondering if I reveal my mental health issues to the company, will I be phased out or looked down upon? To give you all the answers to the questions that you may have and dive deep into the discussion, I have Miss Neha Rashmi with me. Neha, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for inviting me. I think this being my first podcast, I'm kind of excited and I'm conscious as well of
No,
what I
that's all
say.
right.
But
I've
thank
done
you
so
so much
many,
for
I'm still
inviting me.
conscious and nervous.
Understand.
Yeah. So Neha, let's
Okay.
start with your journey first of all. I mean, you've spent a couple of decades in HR. You headed, you sort of uh, devised a lot of strategies for the various global organizations. How did you get into HR? What's your journey been like?
My HR transition was totally, internal via internal job posting, and I did not start my journey as an HR. To be honest, I started my journey as a customer service. So initially 2 years because I was fresh graduate out of college and wanted to kind of explore the world and earn some money. So I joined an organization via campus placement, and there I was placed in customer service for 2 years. But then I developed a knack of being an HR, and I was kind of very excited to see that side of human angle. And there was and I also started studying MBA for HR during that time. And then I kind of got an opportunity. The existing HR head was leaving, and I got a chance to jump into her shoes. And that's how I started. And from there I moved on to different roles: HR generalist, HR BP, talent acquisition head. So that has been my journey in a nutshell altogether.
Great. I hope it's been fulfilling, being in HR and sort of looking at hundreds and thousands people and shaping their careers.
Yeah. I mean, for the young potential people who are coming nowadays from the college,
Mm,
they will face a very different exposure in HR, because HR from 2000 8 6 8 has changed to 2025.
mm,
The paradigm has totally changed.
mm.
So they will face a new challenge. They'll face new sort of people. We had a very conventional way of looking at HR back then, and now we are totally, I mean, we also see a new world, and every day is a learning experience for me.
Great. So, what are the new trends and technologies that you see in HR? I mean, I'm sure it's changed big time in last 20 years. What is it? Where do you see HR and work moving towards in the future?
So HR nowadays, that they are no longer, called as personnel department, which usually it was. It is no longer confined to handling payroll. I mean, that's a part of your profile, but it's not only confined to handling payroll or making salary slips or going to the PF department. No longer that, but then HR is evolved into business strategies, defining business strategies. uh yeah, that's all. uh I mean, I would like to put it across that way, that HR is more of business enabler
Mm,
right now, or business driven. It's they also have targets. They also are quantified and qualified under the same umbrella, like CFOs or CEOs. That's what I've seen HR heads
mm.
working like that. So yeah, it has evolved. It's no longer a support function.
True. I think HR now is more towards one very important aspect, like you said, CFO, CEO, DOHR, CHR, or whatever, and so HR is sort of part of that coterie, which sort of makes strategic decisions nowadays.
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
and I think the biggest challenge these days is people management, hiring. We see a lot of these big tech companies offering millions and billions of dollars, to poach
Hmm.
people from other companies. So
Yes.
definitely, so I'm sure HR plays a big role in that sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. And but how has AI changed? I mean, what sort of AI that do you see sort of coming into HR in last, let's say, few years?
See, AI obviously it's making its mark. If I typically talk about the talent acquisition function,
Hmm.
we are no longer, sticking around to emails or other things of uh, reading the resumes. I mean, I'm just talking about the first stage of entering into AI.
Hmm.
It's all about enhancing the candidate experience too. So we were kind of, given our KPIs, and we were kind of being judged upon creating the entire candidate and the interviewer experience. So the tools that I've worked with, Power BI, Tableau, which gives the insights of entire talent acquisition function. That is one. Secondly, also, resumes are kind of categorized. Not, I mean, when you read, takes 3 hours, 4 hours to read resume. The
Hmm.
system does it for you. It kind
Hmm.
of gives you a percentage fit, and it kind of gives you a platform wherein you get to find talent in easier manner. So AI is definitely helping, and it makes your work easier. I mean, the kind of work which you used to spend 4 or 6 hours, you can do it probably in 20-30 minutes now.
But then has it, like in terms of thinking from a candidate's perspective, initially I knew, suppose if I'm as a candidate applying for a job, I knew that some human would look at my resume, right? Maybe for
Hmm.
3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. But now, the, the resume is being sort of screened by an AI or an ATS. Uh,
Hmm.
how does that change the dynamic in terms of like, does it make life easier for me as a candidate? Like my chances of getting shortlisted as a candidate, are they increased? Are they decreased? And or maybe
Yeah.
like making a resume is much more important now probably than it was, 5, 10 years ago.
No, making a resume is absolutely important. I mean, it's as equal as what we were. It was 5-10 years ago and now, but giving a chance. I mean, if you're saying that as a candidate, how would you stand a chance of getting into an interview?
Hmm.
So it all depends upon your skill set, which should match with the ATS settings. If it matches, then definitely your chances are higher. But then if it doesn't match, if
Hmm.
let's say if you are uploading your resume and your current skill set does not match to the required job skill set, then your chances becomes lower. Okay, so the higher the percentage is, the TA head will read your resume. Otherwise, probably, I mean, I'm talking about mostly by myself, but
Hmm.
every TA head and every company has their own dynamics to
Hmm.
go through the resumes. Also, I mean, I will still say referrals have a higher,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, they have a higher weightage
But referrals
than
also go through ATS, right?
they go through ATS. Yes,
Okay.
they go
But
through
then,
ATS, but
so
still, given India,
hmm,
typical Indian, what we do, it still has a higher weightage than ATS right now.
okay. But then, so for example, so how do I make my resume as a candidate? Like align it with the JD, put more sort of keywords. That's one way to go, I guess. Anything else that you can
Yeah,
think of?
I would say highlight the JD, not the JD, because if the JD is asking, again, a hypothetical example, if JD is asking more on compensation benefit side and you
Hmm.
are more into organizational development, obviously you will not forge the resume according to the JD, right?
Hmm.
But if you have other parameters which matches your resume, you
Hmm.
highlight those key set achievements according to that, so that the percentage goes higher.
Hmm.
And you have different ways, chat GPT, copilot, to tell you how the ATS resume scores look like.
Understood.
So that ways you can always redefine your JD. Again, I'm reiterating, because you can't do something which you have not done in practical life, because
Mm.
practical knowledge is something, again, that's where you are kind of quantified against.
Understood. And so one way obviously is to sort of match your JD with match your CV sort of. So one thing that I also say when I talk to candidates is that don't just send the same CV to every place. Sort of once you have the JD, align that with the JD and with the company like needs in terms of, so let's say if but one particular company is looking for one particular technology, put that thing in your CV and highlight that so that it sort of comes out when the ATS is being matched with your CV, right?
Yeah, but only if you know that technology. If you
Of
don't
course,
know
yeah.
it, yeah,
You can't
if you don't know
bluff
it,
it.
then there's no point. Then ATS will not help you,
True,
right?
true.
So if you know that technology, you should definitely write. So if the JD is asking Azure or
Hmm.
WMS or SAP, for that matter, so it should be highlighted into your skill sets, current skill set and achievements both.
But
So the
candidates have
ATS will
also
not
become
get you.
smarter, no? These days, they
Yeah,
just put
yeah.
it for the heck of putting it, and then, but then how do you identify
Then
which
the
one is fake
interviewer,
and which?
I mean, then they will probably fail in the interview rounds, no, if you
Huh.
don't know the technology.
The kind of stories that I hear from HR leaders these days, that these tech guys, that tech candidates, the kind of cheatings that they do during the tests and all
Mm.
that stuff is crazy. I mean, कोई मतलब Google खोल के बैठा है तो is a very small thing, somebody they've got
Yeah.
like they would put their big headphones and then they'll put a pods in the headphones so that somebody can talk to them.
Oh,
And these
oh,
sort of crazy stories. So now what companies have started doing is that they will say that, boss, they have, I think, a software wherein you have to show them the entire room so that nobody's sitting there with you in the room and
yeah.
no headphones allowed. So, you when you do
So,
their test.
yeah, you're right, absolutely right. Candidates are very smart. So, what we used to do, to overcome that kind of a challenge, we always had those techie guys come into our office. So, we used to set up systems for them,
Mm,
and we used to prepare the assignments for them, there and there, and then you show your skills. That's how we used to do. I mean, because we know it's been many a time that you will have people sitting by your side, and then somebody is dictating you the interview rounds.
true.
So the business leaders are even smarter. They call the candidates in the office,
India
and
is the
we used
India
to
is the
give them
mother
the
of
entire
jugaad,
setup.
so
Ah, whatever
so
you need, we used to give them headphones, speakers, laptops, projectors, everything, and then you appear for the interview. You interview
it has
the
actually happened with me also, wherein I place somebody and then suddenly the company is saying, especially with the smaller companies who don't have that means of a big company to be able to put in the infrastructure for sort of
Hmm.
catching candidates in the action. So they would say, yeah, this guy is completely different from what he was looking out in the interview. I mean, it's like it's the same. It's like it's it's another person altogether. So crazy stories you hear actually.
I know there was one, I think, sibling story which I heard that brother went for the twins. They were twins. So one person appeared for the interview, the other one joined the job.
ये तो थ्री इडियट्स वाला कर दिया इन्होंने.
Huh. So these kind of funny stories, these always come, and that's why you we preferred, because we had this kind of a infrastructure. I don't know about other companies, but we had this when I was with KN. We used to call the candidates in the office, especially when we want to do technical interviews.
But where do you sit on this skill versus degree debates? I mean, are degrees that mandatory in today's day and age?
I have seen people, a lot of companies asking for tier one college
Okay.
specifically, the JDs that they write. So degree is, yes, a very important factor, because it kind of gives you different knowledge enhancement for your upskilling. But then when you are practically, it's just like driving a car. You can learn about the handbrakes and the clutch and everything theoretically, but when you have to drive it, then it's a
It's a different
different
ball
thing.
game.
Every day there's a new scenario. There will
Mm.
be traffic jam, you'll be jumping at the signal, there'll be
There'll be a
speed
cow
breakers, which
in front of you.
there will come. Yes.
That's the biggest challenge in India, no?
Yeah. So it is just like driving a car. I mean, degree is mandatory, just like, driving the license is mandatory, but
Mm,
practical knowledge takes it. I mean, even, I see 14-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids,
mm,
they can drive, they have the ability, but they don't
mm,
have the license, which
true.
kind
But
of, backs them. Yeah.
you see these lot of big companies like Facebook, Meta, etc. Tesla. These guys are saying that degree doesn't matter that much. Maybe it hasn't reached India in that
Yeah,
same
it
fervor.
doesn't.
That
Yeah.
we still obviously. I mean, we as parents are obsessed about our kids having best education, and that sort of a
The
thing. So I think.
strategy roles, companies that do ask for degrees.
Mm,
When we were hiring for, sales roles and other support functions, we were never demanded any degree you should have, especially when you have to deal with, labor law, union, and all that.
mm.
There, you need practical knowledge
True.
more
That's
than a
where
degree.
the apprenticeship model comes into picture.
Yeah, it's like anybody can read Bear Act. I also know what compensation benefit acts look like or posh act looks like, what are the
Mm,
clauses. I also know it. I also know new labor codes, but have I implemented in my practical life? The answer is no.
mm,
So there the degree does not help. I have the degree, but I don't have any practical knowledge.
mm. But then, how do you sort of decide? I mean, like, suppose like you get two similar CVs. What is the deciding factor for you when you're hiring people? When you're, let's say, interviewing, I mean, sure, you can't just hire on the basis of CV, but when you're meeting them face to face,
Hmm.
is it the vibe? Is it something else in terms of, what's the deciding factor for you?
For me, vibe is the second. I'd probably say vibes is the backseat. For me,
Okay.
psychometric assessment is the primary angle to it.
So you're more
So
data
you
driven in terms of your approach rather
data
than
driven. So
geographical.
you get cognitive and behavioral results, and
Okay.
there you cannot cheat. you
Mm,
know so I've been certified with 3 institutions already with psychometric assessment. I've done psychometric assessment right from the junior level till leadership level,
okay.
some of it of global level as well.
Mm,
So your cognitive and your behavioral abilities, which comes in the reports, is the main deciding factor. Wherein you have two people with similar skill set, same
mm,
age bracket, same level of experience, and
mm.
all both of them have worked with brilliant companies. There you actually don't know how to kind of weigh them. The psychometric assessment is the best option.
But then let's say during the interview, I mean, before the psychometric, like wh- how do you feel the candidate in terms of their, capabilities?
So we used to kind of create situational based questions, and
Okay.
we always judged on the base of how people react.
Mm,
You know, so if I'll ask you that there is a strike in your office, and there is a lot of lathi charge going outside your office, how will you react to that situation?
mm,
Two different people will have two different views to it. One
true,
will say that I will kind of go and calm down the workers. The other one will say no, I'll immediately do the FIR. So that shows your passive aggressive nature.
true. And I think
Right.
one thing that I have also realized when I interview people is that people who sort of give you real life examples are the ones whom you know that okay they've handled this situation. They sort of know what they're talking about rather than somebody just making up a wishy-washy story in terms of कि, okay मैं ये करूंगा मैं वो करूंगा. But somebody, let's say, who's done that, oh yeah, I did this. So I always tell candidates, when they're in an interview, talk more with facts, data, and story rather than just this is what I would
Yeah.
do. Okay, yeah, this is what I do. Like somebody when asks you for your achievement, you know,
Hmm.
the more story form you can do it and more data driven it is, the more believable it is rather than just cooking up stories. So that's
Yeah.
that's I think another thing that I've also sort of decide.
Yeah. Yeah. That
And
is, I mean, that is depends upon different roles.
Hmm.
Every role you will find similar people, but then again you will have to kind of also do a judgment on your gut basis,
Hmm.
that you kind of immediately get a sense of
Yeah.
uh
Who was
feeling that
bullshitting?
this candidate, yeah, who's more suited. And it comes with an experience. It doesn't come with any theory. It doesn't
Hmm.
come with any questionnaire or any practical set of questions. It just comes with your experience.
True. That's very valid. But then, and where do you sit on the skill versus attitude? Like a lot of companies have just sort of, bigger companies wherein they are able to train people. They say that, look, we'll only hire for the attitude. Skill, if even if you get 50% of the skill, we're okay. But
They do that.
you do that.
Mhm.
You're also the same opinion.
Yeah, yeah. We hire mostly people on the basis of attitude. Okay.
Okay.
Skills, there should be at least 50 to 60% match.
Hmm.
Rest of the things can be taught. But
Hmm.
driving culture, big companies, they focus a lot of their attention and focus on
Hmm.
culture. Sorry.
Hmm.
They don't focus on much of the skills. So they
Hmm.
say that even if we get 50 or 60% match in the skill set,
Hmm.
rest we the person should be coachable, trainable. Rest we'll handle.
Good.
So yeah, attitude is something what destroys or makes the show going.
And what is the right attitude according to you? I mean,
Right
in terms
attitude
of,
according to me, you should be, I think, kind of probably I would say that someone who is willing to learn, who is willing to, despite of your age, or you should not take everything personally because everybody comes here to work.
hmm,
That's the right attitude you should have. You should be all ears to adapt yourself into different situation.
hmm,
That's, for me, it should be the right attitude.
great. Cool. And let's do some quick fire. I mean, where let me know where do you sit on the fence with these few questions. 4 days work week. You think they'll work in India?
No,
Yeah, even I don't
you
think
will never
so.
work in India.
Yeah. Remote hybrid work or like back to office completely?
I'm a fan of back to office. Yeah,
Uh, 3 months notice period,
not needed.
not needed.
No,
Side hustles or moonlighting by employees.
neither.
Not allowed in a way, right?
Not allowed. Yeah.
So, and while you're screening CVs, 2 years in a company, if a candidate is, working like 2 years in a company, that's good enough for you, or in terms of stability, what do you look at? Like how many years in a
Minimum
company?
3 years. Minimum 3 years.
Minimum 3 years. This is
Yeah, you
decent
don't
enough.
expect a candidate to now sit for 10 years, 12 years. They won't do that. So
True.
minimum 3 years. Yeah.
Minimum 3 years. And I think the higher you go in the ladder, I think it sort of increases in terms of number of years, etc. Right?
Yeah, that is one. And secondly, unless and until spend 3 years in one organization, you will not get to know the business. So there is
True.
no growth. If you're
True.
changing job every 6 months to 1 year, then you haven't learned anything.
True.
And that's the learning curve wherein you start your base. So 3 years, yes.
And I think, yeah, I mean, like second year onwards, especially if it's an employee who is a more of a strategic employee, he
Mm.
will start contributing, from second year onwards. So at least probably if you're in the, head HR, CFO, that sort of a category, I would say maybe it goes up to 5 years wherein you feel that okay, you've given something to the company, wherein companies benefited from your presence.
Yeah.
Mm. Great. Thank you so much, Neha. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
I
Gaurav.
look forward to staying in touch with you, and I will definitely call you again if anything else as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.